Okay, so today we're going to talk about compensation. Many students ask me how to negotiate salaries. And while that is a good idea to have in mind how to negotiate salaries, it's not really what happens in real life. So most places have a salary set, and then they're going to bring in a person at about the salary that they had planned to do. So I want to talk to you about the whole compensation package today, because it's not just the salary. There's so much more involved, and I want you to be informed so that you can look at the whole package and decide if it's the right job for you. So the first thing that we want to do is, typically when you do an application, they're going to ask you what your salary requirements are. In order to do that properly, the best way is to use a source to find out what the correct salary range should be. Do not use Glassdoor or Indeed. The recruiters will laugh at you because that is self-reported. So I could very easily get on there and say, well, I work for USI, I make $200,000 a year. It doesn't make it true. So recruiters will laugh you out. So make sure you use the solid data from ONET. So this is when payrolls are reported, they're actually collecting data through ONET. So every job has an SOC code. So when payroll is reported to the federal government, it's under one of these codes. And so that's how they will collect this data and keep it all in different categories. So you can see here 25-1011 is a dental assistant. You don't need to know those SOC codes. The point is that I'm just trying to explain to you a little bit more about the background of ONET so that you know exactly what kind of data you're getting. So because my background's in human resources, it's what I know, and so I'm going to type in human resources, and I'm just going to see what they give us. So they have specialists, managers, and what you need to know coming out of school is you're likely not going to be in a management position. You kind of have to earn your dues. Now, if you had a really substantial internship, you might actually be able to be maybe an assistant manager or even a generalist, but most of us start out as a specialist. So here's the SOC code. Again, not that it matters, but just in case a recruiter says to you, where'd you get that data? You can go back and say, well, I got it from ONET, and this is the SOC code. And the recruiter should know what that means. If they don't, then that's a data point about the quality of the recruiter. So let's take a look here. You should be familiar with ONET from, if you took BCom 231 here at USI, all of us use this when we're looking at the career report. And if you haven't ever seen this before, just a quick run through. It's basically got job descriptions, so this is an all-inclusive job description. What could you possibly expect to do as an HR specialist? This gives you lots of ideas. What are those knowledge, skills, and abilities that are required? What kind of activity? Email, you can do lots of email, phone, that sort of thing, okay? So what I'm going through this quickly because you can look at your job anytime you want, but I'm scrolling down to wage, okay? When we look at this is the national wage. So remember, the coasts kind of skew data a little bit higher. So if you're going to stay here in Indiana, then you know that this is going to be a little bit higher than what you're going to expect. And if you're going to relocate to California, maybe that wage might be a little bit higher than what is here. So I would not recommend giving this wage to a local recruiter. Instead, you can look at state wages, select the state. So I'm just going to stick with Indiana for now. And it's going to come up with this chart. Now, if you're going to stay in the Evansville area, we're going to be sort of in the low to median. So red is Indiana and blue is national. So we're going to be looking probably, it kind of looks like around 40. So you would say, according to ONET, it seems like the salary is around $40,000. And as a side note, what I'm experiencing from new graduates coming back and telling me is that's about right. So that's about what a new HR person in Evansville would expect to get paid. So that way you have data to back it up instead of saying, I'm worth this amount. The data supports this salary range. So I would probably say, if they ask me for a range, for me personally, I would probably say 35 to 45. Give about a $10,000 range. Now, here's a side note. If you're not willing to work for that amount of money, even though it's standard, then you have a couple of choices. You can keep going, get more education, go into another field. You can move out of the area, keeping in mind that the cost of living might be higher. Use that cost of living calculator to figure that out. Or you can adjust your lifestyle. The point is that if you won't be happy with 40 or 35, then don't take the job. Because what you don't get to do is to take the job based on what you've been given, you agree to that, and then go in every day and complain about it. You don't get to do that. And what you're doing at that point is you're ruining your reputation and you're ruining your reference. So if you truly won't work for that, don't take it. Okay, so employer's not gonna give you a raise later. So when this negotiation happens, you say, I'm willing to accept that, and then you go into work every day knowing that that's an agreement between the two of you. So they're not going to give you a raise in 3 months just because you showed up. You have to, sort of earn your dues on the way up. If you take the job because you need it and you are not happy with it, what you need to do is to have some sort of an exit strategy of, okay, so I'm going to stay here. I recommend always, if you take a job, you need to commit to it for at least 1 year. So, 1 year I'm going to stay. I'm going to take on all the new projects I can. I'm going to learn everything I can to make myself more marketable. And you might even find that you get promoted within that employer for doing that. So that's a strategy to think about. All right, so salary. We now know approximately what the range is, okay? So we have your salary over here, and then we have other considerations. So something else that can be compensation related is retirement. Now, most of you heard, essentially most retirements are 401ks, 403bs. We're looking at matching. And we're looking at vesting. So matching is how much the employer will match dollar for dollar. Vesting is how much you get to take with you if you leave. So you always get to take your money, that's the law, but employers can set a vesting schedule. So if the employer says you can't take our money until you've been here for 10 years, then you have to sort of deduct that out of your real money. Because at that point, if the vesting is 10 years, the chances you'll still be at that employer in 10 years are pretty slim. So you'll have to deduct that out of this is sort of the real money. Now we want to look at health benefits. Now you may be young and healthy now, you may even still be on your parents' medical insurance, but just so you know, health benefits can make or break your financial future. So for example, if an employer has a high deductible, then what that means is you're responsible for the first, say, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 of medical bills. And all it takes is for you to trip down the stairs and break your leg, and you're bankrupt. So don't take too lightly what the health benefits are offered. And I'm happy to talk to you when you get an offer, kind of look over the health benefits with you to see kind of how they compare to other plans. Or you can sort of ask around, ask some of your friends. You can, a lot of employers will have their health benefits on their web page, so you can kind of search there as well and kind of see what to compare it to. Many students, many young people are interested in time off or teleworking. Okay, piece of advice. If the employer says, so usually it's in this it's called PTO, paid time off, and that's going to include vacation and sick. So it's standard for a new graduate to start off with 10 days a year, just 10. So that, one day you have to take your cat to the vet, and that's a vacation, or that's a PTO day. One day you have, your checkup at the doctor, that's a PTO day. They dwindle quickly, and then vacation sort of out of the question. And I know a lot of people have the attitude that you don't have any right to that or whatever, but your generation's so healthy about balance. And in order to, it's been my experience, and I know a lot of you feel this way, that you have to have balance. If you're working 70 hours a week, you're working your tail off, time off to recoup your energy and to get yourself back on track is vital. So if an employer tells you, yeah, we only have 10 days on the books, but we're flexible, be suspicious of that, okay? Anything that's not on the books can go away. And I know that seems a little conspiracy theory, but I've seen it happen a lot. So I would, whatever PTO is on the books is what you're gonna get, regardless, okay? So teleworking, I've been reading a lot of articles lately because, millennials and Gen Z are just sort of demanding teleworking. And employers are, the employers of choice are gonna get the best people because they allow teleworking. If there's not a policy about teleworking, if you don't see anyone else there with a teleworking arrangement, they tell you they'll make one, be skeptical. Okay, I'd get it in writing if you can, or if it's part of the culture of the company where, yeah, everybody takes 1 day a week to telework. We, the team of 5 people, everybody picks a day, and we telework that way. That's something that you can count on. But definitely consider these. So the thing is this: if you want a really high salary, chances are you're going to get less time off. Not only that, but you're probably going to work more hours. So what's more important to you? At the beginning of the class, we did those worksheets where you had your work values. What did you check as number 1 and 2? If it was leisure time and teleworking, then understand that you may take home less than salary to be happy. Okay, I don't want you to underestimate that in your deliberations of whether or not this package is going to be right for you. Some other things that we have might be like, I'm just going to put other activities. So things like they may pay for a gym membership. They may have company discounts different places. They may be a large employer where they'll do tuition reimbursement. Here's something that I want you to know about tuition reimbursement. It's reimbursement, which means that you have to front the money to pay your tuition. And then most tuition reimbursement plans you have to get a certain grade in the class, and they'll only pay for certain programs. So understanding that tuition reimbursement, read the fine print before you agree to it, or you can find yourself with a big tuition bill, okay? And a lot of times, they'll only pay out the reimbursements, twice a year. So for the spring semester, they'll pay it out in July, and in the fall semester, they'll pay it out in January, something like that. So you could be waiting a really long time to get your money back, and you may have to have certain documents in order to do that. So there's a lot of caveats with tuition reimbursement, so be thinking about that as well. So these are the main things. I'm going to put culture here. So I told my students many years ago, way back in 2004, I did a recruiting contract for Toyota, and they're lovely people, and it was a very good job. And the thing is that I didn't belong there. I'm way too individualistic. I'm way too big, big personality, big voice, and I wasn't right for that culture. It didn't mean that there was something wrong with them or there was something wrong with me. It just wasn't a match. So thinking about that, if you really don't fit in that culture, then I would probably pass on it if you can. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, so it's really difficult to know, what kind of jobs you guys are going to have when you graduate, what kind of things that you can expect. But these are the main pieces that you want to weigh against salary. If it matters to you, you might also care about title. So title is something that can help you in transferring, making it to the next step. So I've worked for places, you're usually in good shape as an employer if you under-title someone and you pay them hourly. So an hourly position means you'll get paid overtime. But it doesn't sort of ring the same kind of prestige that a salary job does on the market. So, but it's safe for the employer. So to be exempt from overtime, so there's non-exempt and then exempt. To be exempt from overtime, the job has to go through certain measurements to make sure that it meets the standards to not pay someone overtime, okay? So if it's important to you to be in an exempt position, in our human resource specialist, maybe you're adamant that you want a generalist job, which is, it used to be at least a little bit higher in prestige. Now I'm not really sure. I think that the titles are used a bit more interchangeably than they used to be. But making sure that that's an exempt job, if that matters to you, then you might add that into the equation. So back to the salary, sort of wrapping that up. A negotiation implies that one person has something extremely valuable and so does the other. So there's something to negotiate. While we are getting started in our careers, we're just out of school, we don't have a strong negotiation position. So the best we can do is to maybe move the needle just a little. So if they offer us, 37, we might be able to get to 40. But my recommendation for you, if you're adamant about a certain price tag, is to just tell them up front, this is, I need to make 40, and if they say, I'm sorry, we can't do that, then you have to move on. If you have some flexibility, then you might be able to consider something that pays a little less, that adds some of these other benefits to you. One thing about working here at USI, it's a matter of public record, USI puts 11% of our salary in our retirement, and we don't have to put anything. We're welcome to, but by working here and by being with you wonderful people, they put 11% of my retirement. So while my salary is much less than it would be if I was an HR director somewhere, I get these things, the health benefits, all these other things equal the salary that I'm missing. Never mind when I'm doing a job that I love, that I'm happy with, okay? So it's a full package type of a thing. So if you go into a job offer with those things in mind, then I think you'll be better positioned to actually have a real conversation with a recruiter. So make sure that you understand, usually they'll give you a document that'll tell you like the summary of all of these things, and make sure that you consider all the aspects carefully. So that's essentially what you need to know about considering a job offer. Of course, if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want me to help you evaluate an offer, certainly email me, get a hold of me in some kind of way, and I'll be happy to help you. So that's it for this lecture. There will be more to come. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.